Oh hey there, Tom here from the Run Testers. In this video I'm going to be doing a full review of the On Cloudboom Max. Let's have a look. The On Cloudboom Max costs £220 or $230. It weighs 283 grams or 10 ounces for men in a size 8 and the drop is 8mm. Where the Cloudboom Strike is focused on seasoned racers, the Cloudboom Max is designed for marathon runners of all levels. The Max Stacked midsole is designed to provide a balance of softness and responsiveness for tackling 26.2 miles, while the glass fiber-infused Speedboard and updated shoe geometry aims to improve efficiency for those wanting a 4 to 4.5 hour marathon. The midsole is made from a dual layer of Helion HF Hyperfoam for improved energy and comfort, along with more support and cushioning than many elite-focused super shoes. There's a light, breathable mesh upper that molds and adjusts to your foot's movement over long distances, and a generous rubber outsole to ensure a high level of grip and protection for the midsole foam. So the fit for me in the Cloudboom Max, I'm a size 8 in the UK, this is a size 8, which is a size 8.5 in the US. It definitely runs small. So I've done about 60k in this shoe now, and every time I go out I'm slightly worried because my toe is very close to the end of this shoe and I do feel like it is rubbing a little bit against it. I've not had any major issues with it. I've done half marathon distance running this shoe and it was okay. I definitely, given the choice, I would have sized up half a size in this. I would have gone for an 8.5 in this shoe because it's definitely a little short. It's also not the widest shoe out there as well. So going up half size is probably going to help rectify that, but I did find it was a little bit there's not a lot of space on the midfoot section here, but other than that it does have quite a lot of padding. It's really a shoe designed for comfort around this back section of the shoe, and I did find it was fairly easy to get a lockdown fit in it. I just wish I'd have gone half size up. Okay, so the On Cloudboom Max is a shoe that On has designed as a race shoe for people running 4-hour marathons. I mentioned this in the previous video that I'm not entirely sure people who run 4-hour marathons need a specifically different type of shoe. The only things I can think of that would benefit a 4-hour marathon runner is probably a more stable shoe and a shoe that probably deals with just has a little bit more structure to it, so that you it's not squishy, it's not a soft foam in it, so you get a little bit more control. And the Cloudboom Max does do that. It's definitely a more stable shoe than most carbon plate shoes out there, but I don't think the benefits that you get from it are anything above what you get from just a really good quality training shoe for faster training sessions. The comfort side of it is it's not amazingly comfortable. It feels like a shoe that's designed for performance, so you don't get loads of comfort from the shoe, and equally you don't get loads of performance from it as well. It feels very much like, it feels quite a sturdy shoe. It feels like there's quite a lot of that midsole is quite a tough midsole. It doesn't feel like it's wobbling about at all, so you do get that stability in it, but it doesn't feel like it's particularly designed for going fast. Of the 60k of running that I've done in this shoe, I've mainly been hitting around that 4-hour marathon pace, which is generally what I sort of train at anyway, as an easy pace. And I've tried to go faster in it as well. What I've found about the shoe is that the pace that it says it would be good at, that 4-hour pace, it is fine. It definitely maintains a nice consistent pace at that. The problem is that if I was running a marathon in this shoe, I think a 4-hour marathon in this shoe, I'd want something a bit more comfortable. That midsole is a little bit firm for me over that distance. I did think that it would soften up a little bit over the course of the runs, but it's still pretty firm midsole compared to a lot of other super trainers, super shoes out there. So I definitely would want something a little bit softer and more comfortable, especially if I'm running a 4-hour marathon time. But other than that, it's fine. It ticks over nicely at that pace. I ran a half marathon last weekend in it, training for the Loch Ness Marathon, and it was fine. It definitely didn't feel like a shoe that I didn't want to have on my feet, apart from that slight sizing issue with my toe at the end. But the problem is I've got loads of shoes that do that. There's shoes that are significantly cheaper that don't have some of the performance technology in this, which I'd probably prefer to pick up for running any distance. Things like the New Balance Rebel V5, I'd rather run a marathon in that shoe, but it's significantly cheaper. So when I've tried to pick up the pace in this shoe, it doesn't really want to do it. It's not a shoe that feels like it's designed for going faster, which is said that it's not designed for running at faster paces. It's definitely not a shoe that you'd use interval sessions. It's definitely not a shoe that you'd use for shorter, faster races. It firmly sits in that world of cruising through at a nice consistent pace, that 4-hour pace, and doesn't really do anything other than that. And that's really where the problem comes from for me with this shoe. I don't think it's particularly a bad shoe. It's a very expensive shoe for that specific purpose, which I don't think is a purpose that many people actually need. I think most people could probably get a cheaper shoe that does the job just as well. So other than that, the outsole is pretty good on this actually. It's got a pretty thick layer of rubber on the outsole. I didn't have any problems with grip at all on it. I've been running quite a bit in the wet conditions at the moment, so that's absolutely fine. Didn't have any problems with that. So overall, tick through the miles okay, but bit of a strange shoe, especially when you consider the price. Okay, so my verdict on the Cloudboom Max. If this shoe was £150 and it was not specifically positioned as a shoe designed for racing, I think it would be a fairly competent shoe, and I think there are benefits to it, like the stability. It's definitely a very stable shoe in the performance running shoe world. But because of the price, and On shoes often are quite a little bit more expensive than other shoes, comparable shoes, because of the price, it's punching very high with a claim that is quite specific. So a 4-hour marathon time for £220 in the UK, it's more expensive than some carbon plate shoes, and it's definitely more expensive than some of the best super trainers out there. And I think this isn't competing with carbon plate shoes. This is competing with super trainers, things like the Asics Mega Blast, things like the Saucony Dolphin Speed series, things like the Asics Super Blast. They're the shoes that I would look at as a comparison to this shoe. And I would definitely, if I'm going to do Loch Ness Marathon next weekend, which I'll probably be running at 4-hour marathon pace. I'm not racing it, and I was going to pick this shoe because it's a shoe specifically designed for that, so it'd be a good test for it. But I think that a shoe like the Asics Mega Blast, which is very similar in what it does to this, it is essentially a shoe that's designed for faster training. It just ticks a lot more boxes. It's a little bit cheaper than this shoe, and nobody talks about the Mega Blast being a cheap shoe. It's a very expensive shoe, but I'm probably going to go for the Mega Blast for it because it's just got a little bit more bounce to it. It's just a little bit more enjoyable to run in. It feels more comfortable to run in. It feels like a shoe designed for comfort over longer distances. And that's a shoe that isn't really designed for racing. It's a shoe that's designed for running, for comfortable training sessions, and using alongside a carbon plate shoe on race day. So I think it's a really difficult shoe to pinpoint because I just think there's loads of great super trainers out now, and non-super trainers. You could look at shoes that would probably just work just as well as this, and they don't have plates in. Things like the Super Blast doesn't have a plate in, but I think that it does have a little bit more of a better ride, a better, more consistent ride. You can definitely run faster in that shoe. It's a bit smoother to run in. It's just got a nicer midsole and roll through for me. So really, I think if you're looking at this shoe because you're a 4-hour marathon runner, I think there's better options out there, and especially considering one of the best shoes out that's ever come out, the Asics Mega Blast, is cheaper than this shoe, and it's designed for everything. So you could use it for racing, you could use it for training. That's probably going to be a better option. It's slightly softer than this shoe, but not massively. It's still a fairly sturdy shoe and just feels really comfortable on the feet. So I'm not sure it's a shoe that's needed, and when it's not necessarily needed, when you've got a price tag that high, I'm not sure it's a good choice when there's so many other great options out at the moment. That's it from me on the Cloudboom Max. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that little bell. And if you're going to catch him blowing funny to our podcast, which comes out a couple of times each month. Thanks a lot for watching. Catch you next time.